kick.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Pastor Alex Bryant. I'm back with Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant. And even bigger news, and this is for you, Mom, the man, the myth, the legend. He is back on the production board, Matthew Frizzell. That's what you guys know. That's his professional name. I call him Frizz. What up, Frizz? You back?
We back, baby.
You back? So, yeah, you were sick under the weather the other day, but you're back. You got your big old smiling face with your grizzly man beard going on there. Man, it's getting warm, though. That's true. You got your St. Louis Cardinal Blues shirt on right there. So,
man, I'll tell you what, this warmer weather, I'm ready for baseball. I really am.
There it is.
You know, the Blues and the hockey team hasn't been really performing up to expectations, so I'm ready for some Cardinal baseball.
I mean, it is what it is. So let me tell you what's going to happen today on Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant. We got a great show, a couple guests that we're going to have in. Former state senator Holly Thompson Rehder, she's going to be joining us here in about 15 minutes. We'll find out what she's up to. We'll talk about a bill that she tried to carry the whole time she was in the session, the legislature there, and it's been picked up now, and hopefully that bill can go through. It deals with teenage marriage, and we'll tell a little bit about her story. I'm excited to talk to former Senator Holly Thompson Rehder, so we'll have her on. And then, obviously, top 3 stories of the day. We got to go into them. I got 3 of them for you. Maine schools, they're trying to defy President Trump. They're saying, no, we're still going to allow boys to compete with girls. Wouldn't want my kids in sports up there in Maine. I mean, because that's getting crazy. And then Joy Reid, this is a couple days old. I got some thoughts on it. She was fired. You're fired at MSNBC. Joy Reid's crazy, y'all. And now listen, I know you're not supposed to say a woman's crazy, but she is. And I think a lot of you know that, and we've got some thoughts on that. And then we'll talk about the rare minerals deal that Donald Trump is about ready to sign with Ukraine and President Zelensky. I got some thoughts on that. We also have another interview with Cary of Freedom Principles, Missouri. He's going to be in, and we're going to talk about one of their newest initiatives, the Missouri 82 Alliance. And so he will be in studio. He'll sit like right here. I'll actually scoot over a little bit. We'll bring him in, and we'll have this will be his camera. So that's when Cary comes in. Frizz is on it today, dog. And so we'll do that. And then what people are talking about, we always got that. There's some good stuff on that. So let's dive into this. I got some thoughts in our first opening section. Let's get after it. Here's what's the big deal.
What's the big deal? Opening news story.
Okay, here's the big deal. Gold card citizenship. Okay, Trump is at it again, people. This dude, I'm telling you what, I'm all for it. He's coming up with ideas like nobody's business. He's got this new idea that he pushed out, the gold card citizenship. Now, before I even had details on it, I got some friends, I'm not going to say their names, but they always hit me up. People that have Trump derangement syndrome. You know who you are if I'm talking about you right now. You know who you are. And I told you I was going to talk about you. I'm not going to say your name, but you know you have TDS to the nth degree. Before I even heard the story about what it was all about, Trump comes up with this idea of gold card citizenship. And my friend is texting me going, can you believe this? He's selling it. He's selling us out to the highest bidder. And, you know, some people are going to say that because no matter what Trump does, some people are just not going to like it. You know, you got lovers, haters, and you know, wannabes, but some people are just not gonna like him, what he's doing. Now, I just got a call, Amy Daly. She's just now calling me on my phone. Amy, I'm doing my program. Why are you calling me? Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant. Unless you want to be on the show, don't call a brother between 9 to 11. You're going to go back and listen to this and go, ooh, yeah, I gave you a shout out though, Amy Daly down in Florida. Okay, so my friend, he's texting me about this whole gold card citizenship, this and that stuff, and you got to dive into it. You may not have heard what it is. Let's explain it, and then I'm going to give you some thoughts on it. I'm going to open with this little video right here.
We're going to be doing something else that's going to be very, very good. We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful. Never been done before, anything like this, but it's something that we're going to be putting out over the next, would you say 2 weeks, Howard? Do you want to say a couple of words about it?
Sure.
Wait a minute.
People with TDS are losing their mind at Trump selling citizenship to so-called wealthy people. It's a brilliant idea, though. And I want you to listen to how it could all work. You know, basically, people or companies that want to sponsor people to come here and work. So Trump realizes, I don't know if you guys know this, but did you know that there's like 300,000 Chinese students that are in our colleges here in our country? Just let that number sink in, 300,000. China has basically been sending their students over here to get a great education, and then a lot of them go back and they work in China. Now, a lot of those students, when they come here, they want to stay here. They're becoming doctors, lawyers. Like, these are high-end people. They're in colleges. They only get master's degrees, doctoral degrees. China. So what Trump is saying is people that do that, these people, these oil tycoons from Saudi Arabia, all these Middle Eastern countries, a lot of different people. I know people from Ghana who've come here, black and brown people who are engineers, who are architects. These people come here, they go to our colleges. A lot of them are competing on our track teams and this and that, and they want to stay here. They want to start their businesses here, but we don't have, their student visa runs out, so they got to go back home. And then they go back to their country and they have to work for their government, who takes advantage of them, who basically takes all their money. They start these businesses. Some of these businesses are worth billions of dollars. And so Trump has this idea, why don't we find a way for these people to stay in our country? So he's talking about these gold card citizenship. And that's the idea. So basically, people will have to invest about $5 million in our country in exchange for citizenship, either them or their business. Now, some more details on this video, because Trump, during this last clip that I showed you, it's like a little presser at his desk. He's got one of his guys on his team that's going to explain it even more. So check this out.
We're going to be doing something else that's going to
Even fraud.
For that gold card.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Go
the
ahead.
EB-5 program was really, you lend some money, but it was full of nonsense, make-believe, and fraud, and it was a way to get a green card that was low-priced. So the president said, rather than having this sort of ridiculous EB-5 program, we're going to end the EB-5 program. We're going to replace it with the Trump Gold Card, which is really a green card gold, so they'll be able to pay $5 million to the U.S. government. They'll have to go through vetting, of course. We're going to make sure they're wonderful, world-class global citizens. They can come to America. The president can give them a green card, and they can invest in America, and we can use that money to reduce our deficit. Why do we give out lotteries of green cards? Why do we give out EB-5 for green cards? The President of the United States understands that the right answer is, why don't we eliminate the deficit of the United States of America instead?
The gold card, well, millions, but the gold card will bring in with it people that create jobs, very high-level people. I think companies will pay to get people in. For instance, you today graduate from the Wharton School of Finance or Harvard or Stanford or any college, and nobody knows if you can even go to work for a company. So Apple and all these companies that want to get people to be working for them will be able to buy a card, and for the people that are number one in their class at top schools, I see that as one of the things. But generally speaking, it'll be people with money and people that create jobs, and they won't have to pay any tax on income outside of the United States, which they're not paying right now. They're not citizens, but they'll have to pay if they create jobs in the United States. They'll pay full taxes like everybody else. So you're getting big taxpayers, big job producers, and we'll be able to sell maybe 1 million of these cards, maybe more than that. And if you add up the numbers, they're pretty good. As an example, 1 million cards would be worth $5 trillion. $5 trillion.
Wow.
And if you sell 10 million of the cards, that's a total of $50 trillion. Well, we have 35 trillion in debt. That'd be nice. So we'll see.
Okay, people, let me ask you something. And Frizz, you just said it. What's our national debt? $36 trillion. So you got it up. It's going up. 36 trillion. What is that? 532 billion, 804 million, 965,000. It just went up another billion right there. So guys, this guy is coming up with ideas. I don't care if you love him or don't like him or whatever. At least it's an idea. Why do we not at least investigate this? We said, so this is the point, though. You got people that say, oh, well, why does he got to call it the Trump gold card, the Trump card? Is that all you got? The dude comes up with a brilliant idea to try to tackle our debt, and you're crying about he wants to name it after himself? Of course Donald Trump is going to put his name on it. He puts his name on everything. What's the problem? If you are going to help us pay down our debt, it's a brilliant idea. It's a brilliant idea. This is why I like the guy. He comes up with ideas. This is stuff that nobody ever is talking about. He's talking about, we have a debt that we're talking is going to be saddled to our kids, and we know that people want to come to America. It's a great country. Companies want to come over here. They want to sponsor people coming over here. And he says it, if we sell 1 million of these gold cards, 1 million of them, that's $5 trillion. And he even goes on to say, he's like, I don't even know if we can sell that. Maybe we sell 1,000 of them. I guarantee he's going to sell some of them. There's people that are lining up to want to come over to this country. People like Apple, Google, they will sponsor these people. This is a brilliant idea. And if you have Trump derangement syndrome, if you just can't stand him, you're not going to see it. Because all you think is, why does he want to put his name on it? He's so arrogant. Yeah, he's arrogant. He's narcissistic. Maybe. But the guy has ideas, and he's thinking about our country. He's thinking about trying to tackle this debt, and why not take some of this oil money from these suckers over there in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, who want to come over here, who want to start their businesses over here. Why not take some of their money and say, if you want to start your business over here, you got to pay for it. Other countries pay for citizenship. You go to Singapore, you got to pay for citizenship. Canada, there's a lot of other countries do this. If you want to be a citizen there, you have to pay for it. And, what's the issue with this? Guys, stop throwing stones at this brother and, casting aspersions at him, everything he does and everything he says, and looking at petty little jump. Why has it got to be the Trump gold card? Why are you whining like a little bitty baby? Great idea. Let's at least explore it. That's what I got to say. That's the big deal. That's what's up. Hey, listen, we have joining us We're going to go to a sponsorship, our Planet 417. Now, I want to tell you, that's how you can listen to our show. That's where you can watch us at. Download the app, planet417.com. That way you can listen to it on the radio. You can listen to it in your car. It's just an app, planet417.com. Go to the App Store. You can listen to Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 11. A lot of you have been saying to me, where can I find you at? I was at breakfast with the guy the other day, and he's like, where's this new streaming show? Well, we are streaming on Facebook. It's going to be, we post it to our YouTube. It'll eventually be on X. But right now, the best way to watch us is planet417.com. You go there to that website, or you can download the app. You can watch us live, or you can watch it later on, however you want to do it. But Planet 417, they're also one of our sponsors. We're going to get to our sponsor, and then when we return, we're going to be back with former state senator Holly Thompson Rehder.
Interesting interviews.
All right, welcome back to Frontline Faith. We have joining us right now on the line is Holly Thompson Rehder, former state senator. Holly Thompson Rehder. Senator Rehder, it's good to talk to you again. How are you today?
I'm great. It is so good to see and talk to you. I love that you're doing this.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, I got to ask you, you're former state senator, but what do I call you? Like, what do we call you? Former senator, still Senator Rehder? I mean, what's your official title? Because I want to show the respect.
Well, you call me Holly. You know that.
Official title, Senator Rehder, is that the official?
It's just Holly Thompson Rehder.
I can't do it. I thank you for that, but you have definitely served our state. You served us honorably, and you did a great job. And it's good to have you right here on Frontline Faith. Frizz was excited to have you here. He was. He's smiling now. He loves your accent. Look at him. He's smiling. So what are you up to? There you go. So Senator Rehder, what are you up to now that you've left office? Are you like enjoying family time? You traveling? What are you doing now?
All of the above. I'm working for Axe Advocacy, and they're a national PR and government affairs firm. And so this week I'm actually out in DC, and but my main priority is, working in Missouri, working in Jefferson City, picking up some clients. We're really expanding the operation in Missouri, and it's been very exciting. The owner of the company, Jeff Rowe, I've known him for a couple of decades now, and have been so impressed with him and his growth and his companies. And Ashley Stevenson out here in DC, she's the president of Axe Advocacy, and she's just a tremendous lady, and I've really enjoyed working for her. So it's a new adventure.
And let you guys know, Senator Holly Thompson Rehder, not only is she doing great things for Missouri, she has, worked with us. And I want to go over specifically, I'm going to ask you about the marriage bill that you worked on for the longest time that's going to be picked up there. But I got a full disclosure. I personally love her. She gave my oldest son, Trey, a chance, he was just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed right out of grad school. She gave him a chance. He was he was the chief of staff for her, and he helped him grow a lot and learn a lot. And so thank you for that. Our family loves you, Senator Rehder.
He's a wonderful young man, and I'm so excited of the work that he's doing in DC. I mean, he's just moving on up, as I knew that he would from the first time that I met him.
Well, thank you so much. So when you talk to him, you got to ask him about his new lady friend. I don't know if you know that or not. He's got a new...
Well, he called me. He called me last week.
Well,
I do know about her.
All right, then. She's a nice lady. So, Senator Holly Thompson Rehder, one of the things that you worked on for a while, I don't know if it was the whole time you were in office, was the marriage bill. And currently in Missouri, with parental consent, a 16-year-old can get married. And I know, and I want to talk a little bit about your own personal story. You wrote about this. You wrote a wonderful book called Cinder Girl. I know that because my wife, she read this book in like 2 days, and she's like, Alex, you got to read it. She hounded me. And I read the book, and it's a great book. I mean, it's a great read, Cinder Girl. But I know from that kind of led you, your personal story. So maybe tell us a little bit about this marriage bill, what you want to accomplish with that, and why it was so important for you.
And I'm actually still working on that. So in Missouri, there's legislation still going, but I was in South Dakota just a couple of weeks ago working on it there. And there's a national group, Unchained at Last, that works specifically on changing the marriage age to an adult across the nation. You would be surprised at how many states still allow child marriages. And it not only moves girls like me who, have that ability as a teenager to talk their parent into something. I was 15 wanting out of a bad situation. And so I talked to my mama into signing the papers, which put me into a worse situation, right? I had to quit high school. Pregnant within a few months, I really sidetracked my life, and we want so much more for our girls. But traffickers have used this, mail order brides. It is just one of those issues that has really been hidden in the shadows. And because look, we all know someone who got married at 15 and they've been married 50 years. Well, that was very different back then. Women didn't work outside the home. Everything was different then. Women have so much more opportunity now. And to me, as a Christian, the divorce rate is almost 80% for people who get married before they're 18. Why do you want to set your child up for failure with something that is so hard to begin with, And we don't want kids under 18 to vote. Why would we want them, sign them up for a lifetime commitment? It is impossible to get your head around when you think about those things. And we
Senator,
have.
can I just say this? Let me just say, when you're saying this, my daughter is 15.
Right.
I can't even imagine. Like, she's a child still. She comes to me with, what am I going to wear for basketball? And my cell phone. Can I get Snapchat? If she came to me, can I get married? Like, how? It blows my mind.
Right.
Wow.
It should. And so many girls just don't have that parental strength in their home. I didn't. My mother struggled with mental illness. She was in abusive relationship after abusive relationship, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I talked her into letting me marry my 21-year-old boyfriend, and that's many girls' stories. But we have also found that traffickers are really using this loophole in states like Missouri to come in and be able to marry these girls and give citizenship to some bad people. And so coming over into America. And so we've got to get this fixed. We've got Senator Rick Bratton and Senator Tracy that are working together to, as Democrat and Republicans, working together to get this passed. We have a representative in the House that in the Missouri House that is working. Both bills are moving, and we've had, great meetings. The speaker is all in favor of it. And so that's a big plus. Last year we got it out of the Senate with, I believe, only one no vote. And so I really feel like this year will be the year. and Senator Tracy McCreary. I'm sorry, I just gave her first name a minute ago, but I think this year will be the year. And we just really, marriage is hard, and it's something that adults. It's an adult decision, certainly. Like I said, we don't want kids to vote. Under 18. That's a 4-year decision. Um, so I think we can get this done in Missouri this year.
So as it stands now, and I pulled it up, here's the current law, just for those that are wondering. And we're talking with former State Senator Holly Thompson Rehder. She worked on this bill. Her story, and I want to go into your book and your story even a little bit more here in a moment. But she got married when she was young. She just shared with us when she was 15. She was in a bad situation with her family, her mom, and she talked her mom into letting her marry their 21-year-old boyfriend. And I mean, some people would look at you, Senator, and say, well, it worked out for you, but I know because I read your book, there were struggles along the way. I'll be honest, there's times I'm reading your book, I'm like, should I be reading this? Because hey, as the brothers would say, you got raw with it. You were real, girl. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But
That's all I am.
But from your experiences, your wisdom has led you to believe that just because you ended up making it out of that situation, just because some other people does, that's not wise for other people. And as it stands right now, the law in Missouri, currently no marriage license shall be issued in Missouri for individuals under 16 years of age or issued when one party to the marriage is under 18 years of age and the other party is over 21. So that's like, if your boyfriend was 22, even if your mom's consent, you couldn't have gotten married. That's what I'm hearing it say, right? And so
Right.
additionally, no marriage license shall be issued if any party to the marriage is under 18 years without parental consent. So what this bill and what you guys have been working on is this act that Senator McCrary is working on and Rick Bratton, it wants to repeal those provisions, and no marriage license shall be issued in Missouri for individuals under 18 years of age, period. That's what you want it to go
Right.
to.
Right.
And
You
your
have to
wisdom
be
has
an
led you to
adult.
that.
And to sign a legal binding contract, you have to be an adult. So
Yeah.
why would we allow marriage to be any different? Um, it's just we have clerks in the I'm trying to think of the county, but it's around the Kansas City area that came and spoke to me and said, Holly, you have no idea how many situations that I know are not good and certainly should be illegal coming in, that because of our laws now, that I have to issue a marriage license. And because they're right there at that Kansas City airport hub, he said, we get the lion's share of it. And he was happy to help in any way that he could to get this bill passed last year. But we didn't have the House on board, and we had a lot of the members on board. We didn't have the speaker on board to get it brought up and let us get it voted out, and everything kind of went off the rails. And but I think this is going to be the year.
And Senator, because we've talked about this on the radio, your bill, and I know Trey was helping you work on it. And here's the thing. There's even some of our local representatives, our local senators, it's hard for them because they're like, well, my grandmother, my great grandfather, they got married and it worked out for them. I want you to talk on this because, like you said, it was different back in the 50s, the 60s, when you had a farm, you just didn't have the exposure to things. Life was different back then. Kids, they
Women
matured a little
couldn't
bit
have
sooner.
Absolutely. I mean, women couldn't have their name on a bank account. Like, they couldn't have their own bank account. They couldn't buy a house by themselves. I mean, that and that hasn't been that long ago. That is how different things are today. The majority of women didn't go on for higher education. We have so much more opportunity now. And we know from science and neuroscience that the frontal cortex doesn't develop until you're in your 20s. So to allow any of this before you're an adult, I think is just it's setting your child up for failure. I'm my husband and I made it 7 years. We were on and off, not together. My baby and I were homeless at times. Like, it was not easy. And I put myself in a bad situation. I didn't have the cognitive ability to realize what I was doing to myself. And like I said, my mother struggled with mental illness. My daddy, he would have never signed that, but he really wasn't allowed to be a part of my life. And that's another thing that these laws do, is you have some parents who are signing these to get out of child support. You have some parents that are willing to sign these, and we've had dads testify, or talk to me about it, that a wife can sign this and completely remove their rights without the father approving at all, and so you can have one parent effectively take away the rights of the other parent. I mean, it's what's the harm in waiting?
And I love that your wisdom, and again, you are one who you've experienced this. Again, we're
Been there,
talking to
done
former
that. That's right.
and I mean, former state senator Holly Thompson Rehder, and I want you to put her book up here again, Cinder Girl. You talk about that. You talk about some of the successes, the failures, and then the hardships. And not only that, but you're very vulnerable with how it's affected even your kids, and
Right.
and now that wisdom is helping you say, hey, I want to fight for these vulnerable, the least of these. And you're a woman of faith. You're a Christian woman.
Yeah.
People say they're a woman of faith, but you are a Christian woman. You share that
I'm
openly in your
Christian.
book. You've always shared that. Yeah. And so that I see this as a matter of service that you're doing, because I've never thought this is just like, oh, you're trying to get a political win, because I know that even after you're gone, you're like, you wanted somebody to carry this bill on. And so talk
Yes.
about that motivation for you, your faith, how
You
that's
know,
been motivating.
I want more for our girls, and God has brought me out of a lot. That you've read my book. My sister married her 39-year-old drug dealer when she was 16. My cousin got married as a teenager. Both quit school. Um, I've seen the negative effects of this, but God has brought me out. And God didn't bring me out and hand me a microphone to keep my mouth shut. I mean, He's given me the ability to talk about the things that I grew up in, to be very matter of fact, very black and white about them. Where some people that go through the sexual abuse or the domestic abuse really can't bring themselves to talk about it. They got out and they just went out, and they don't want to go back in their mind even. But for me, it's different. God's given me the ability to speak to these things and to explain how it really looks on the ground. Standing up and saying, well, I know people who got married, they've been married 50 years. Okay, but the number of people that say it worked out for, there are hundreds that it didn't. And girls that have been harmed from sex trafficking, girls that have been harmed from being in abusive relationships. One woman that, you will hear more of her story because I know she's going to write a book, Sheena, and she just got out of prison for killing her husband. She's been in prison for 25 years. She married him as a 15-year-old. He abused her so badly, so badly. When she ran away, the police picked her up and took her back to him because he was her guardian. She ended up helping with his murder. She went to prison and served 25 years. They certified her at 17 as an adult so that they could sentence her as an adult. But when she reached out for help, she couldn't get into a domestic violence shelter because she wasn't 18. The police took her back to the man who was beating her. But so they wouldn't let her be an adult to get out of the situation. But they made her an adult to make sure she went to prison for an adult time limit. It blows my mind. But that is the true story. That is what is happening to so many of these girls. They're not good situations.
That just has to break your heart, and that's I'm thankful that you are fighting for these girls, and I want you guys to hear this. I mean, you think, oh well, this is just a couple people. Well, according to a study from the advocacy group Unchanged at Last, just a couple years ago here in Missouri, there were over 8,000 young ladies that are married to men, these young women that are under 18 that are having parents sign them off to be married. I mean, and so now you're talking about them being trafficked, and I want you to talk a little bit on this, Senator Rehder, how, because you're not just saying just Missouri now, you're looking outside of Missouri. It sounds like you're taking this fight across the nation. Is that what the goal is? You want a national marriage law? Would that be the end goal for this?
It would. That would absolutely be the end goal. Unchained at Last, they worked with me in Missouri, and then they asked me, they said, if we could, get you to come tell your story in some of these other states that we're working in, maybe, because they do this nationally. And Frady Reese, she asked me, she said, would you be willing to? And I said, 100%, absolutely. God has, like I said, he's brought me out of a lot, but my story can help change the story for other girls. And that's what I want.
Well, I'm going to tell you all this. If you're listening to this Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant, talk to your state rep, your state senator, find out where they stand on this. Because a lot of them, and I've talked to them before, and they're good people. We got a lot of good reps, but it's hard for them to wrap their mind around this because their grandmother got married when she was 15, right, and that worked out fine. And so they're like, is it a big deal? This is, because young girls, it's different. The world's changed, and we know that there's a lot of predators out there, and specifically, girls are being trafficked right now. Talk on that, Senator, with your work on finding that these young girls that are being trafficked because they're being exploited, basically.
They absolutely are. And that's, that was some of the things that that these other states have found also, is that, the states with the most lax laws are the ones that also have higher percentage of trafficking. Missouri is number 4 on the worst states for trafficking. I mean, that's just that's incredible. That's so horrific. And I was on a task force 2 years ago, and, we've tried to make some changes to our laws over the last couple of years, setting up a permanent task force underneath the AG's office. We've done some good things. We've got some good things in motion. But loopholes like this allow people to do that under the guise of it being legal. And so often these girls are afraid to say anything. Their parents have been paid, so they can't go home. There's not an option for them. Some have been, that's what they've grown up around. When my sister was, like I said, she married her drug dealer when she was 16. Before that, she ran away a lot. And I know that there was a situation where she was hopping a ride at a truck stop when she was about 14. And she was sold in a warehouse next to a truck stop. She ended up running away, getting away. But this is real life. This is real life for a lot of America. And the problem that I found, and not anyone's fault, but the problem that I found is that you have the majority of people who are elected they've just not seen this, right? They've not experienced it, been a part of it. So when I got to the legislature years ago and started serving in the House, that was one of the first things that I found. And that was when God really prompted me in my spirit to write my book, because I was getting so frustrated with just the words that were being used. And, here I moved over 30 times between my 3rd grade and the beginning of my 10th grade when I had to quit school. When things would go south for Mama, we'd hop a Greyhound bus and go to the next place. That was normal life for me, but the people I was serving with didn't really understand poverty. They'd never been in it. They'd never gotten out of it. Some had never been a teenage mama, had never been homeless. I was pregnant and homeless at 15. My sister was an addict by the time she was 16. I grew up around drugs. I grew up in sexual abuse, domestic violence. These are the things I could speak to. And it was like God was just telling me, Holly, you can't fault people for not knowing what they just don't know, not understanding what they don't know. Put a face to it. Give them the real stories. And as you said, my book is very raw. I don't know. I'm just an honest person, and I'm so thankful of all that God got me out of. It's like, shoot, I'm gonna tell all He's done for me until my last breath.
Well, I'm so thankful that you are an overcomer, that you have overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony. You're helping other people overcome. The book is Cinder Girl. Put it up there one more time for people to see, Frizz. Go to Amazon, check it out, pick it up. Now, you're also a wonderful speaker. I know that you're available for speaking. Is that right? Will you come to people's groups, events, churches, and stuff like that? Is that
Absolutely. Yes.
How can they get in touch with you, Senator?
You can go to my website, hollyrehder.com. And you can just shoot me. It allows you to send me an invite, just telling me about your event, and allows me to check my schedule and to get back with you.
Senator, thank you for joining us here on Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant. I'm going to let you out of here on this question. Man, you're such a great politician. Everyone that we talked to, they said you're a brilliant mind. You got any more left in the tank? Are you ever going to throw your hat back in the ring anywhere else? Are we going to see you back in Missouri again soon, or what?
Hey, I never say never, because when God prompts me to do something that opens the door, I try for it. I don't mind shooting for the moon or anything else, Whatever He lays in my path, I always want to go His direction.
There you go. You just heard it here. That's breaking news. Former State Senator Holly Thompson Rehder just announced she's running for president after Trump. That's what I heard her say right there. So. Okay, maybe just teasing. Senator Rehder, thank you so much for joining us on Frontline Faith. I hope you have a great day. God bless you.
Thank you so much. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Man, she's an awesome lady. She's done some great work there. Former State Senator Holly Thompson Rehder. Always fun to talk to. And, man, look into that. Find out what's going on. She is trying to protect our young girls. Again, my daughter's 15. I can't imagine her coming to me asking me if she could get married to some jabroni kid. No. And I mean, that's putting it nicely, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, hey, she asked me if she could go to, or she just had a date to homecoming. I almost said no to that. Yeah, Frizz, I don't roll like, yeah, some little jabroni kid. He's a little nice little kid, little band nerd kid, good kid. So, but I was okay with that. But get married? Man, please.
Don't scare the kid, Alex. Come on.
I did. When he came to the house, I don't have, I didn't have any gun. I didn't pull that out, but I pulled out my Thor hammer. So when he came to the door, I was like, what's going on? So,
I was afraid you're going to pull out like a 12 gauge or something and really scar the kid.
Hey, big black dude ain't pulling out no gun on no little white kid. So that's how I roll. So, hey, let's do this. We got a lot more Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant. We got the top stories of the day, and we still have, we got an interview with Cary Wells. He's with Freedom Principles, Missouri. He's going to be joining us in studio. We'll talk about Missouri Missouri 82 Alliance. And then we'll get to what people are talking about. So stick around right here on Frontline Faith with Alex.
stories of the day.
All right, we got a couple of top stories, a few, because a few is three of them that I want to point your attention to. The first one is this: the Trump administration, they're investigating Maine and the schools there, the schools up in Maine, because they're continuing to allow males to compete in girls' sports. Now remember, Trump signed an executive order saying that across the land, in the United States, there's only two genders, male and female. Either you stand up to pee or you sit down to pee. That's just how it is right there. And you're male or female, and that's according to Genesis chapter 2. God made them male or female. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, what about the rare examples of intersex people? It's different. I mean, there's some deformities, intersex people that are born with both genitalia. I think maybe 30,000 people in the United States every year. They usually, what's happened between then is the doctors and the parents get together and they choose a sex at birth. That's a different situation. Do that. Keep doing what we've done forever. But we can't use that rare example to try to justify transgenderism. That's not what it's all about. And so you see some people that are trying to do that. And now the sad thing is, Christian people try to do that as well. We can't do that. I mean, the Bible says in Genesis chapter 2, God made them male and female. If you have a problem with that theologically, go to the Bible. But don't now try to use the rare deformities that happen, because there's always deformed people. God intended us all to be born with 2 arms and 2 legs, but some people are not. I mean, there's always deformities, and we try to get them prosthetics, and we try to help them, people that are born with those deformities to improve their lifestyle. But we can't now try to justify transgenderism, where people are trying to change their sex. They're saying that I'm born in the wrong body and I'm attracted to this or that. That's not what God intended. And so Christian people, don't fall for those politically correct social justice games. That's all they are. It's not a social justice issue that people who believe that they're transgender should have inalienable rights in the United States and this or that. No, I'm with Vivek Ramaswamy. I think, I think that when people, when they suffer from, transgender dysphoria, it's a mental illness, because it's just not biblical theologically. It's not scientific. If you are a man, you were born with a penis. If you're a woman, you're born with a vagina. Men produce sperm. Women ovulate. They have babies. Scientifically, you can't change that. And then common sense. I mean, common sense. You stand up to pee or you sit down to pee. Like what? Don't try to sell us on something because now you have a social justice message that you know someone who believed or felt like they were born in the wrong body, and your heart went out to them. I know people that feel that way, and I listen to them, and I talk to them, and I empathize with them, and then I deliver truth to them. You may feel that way. I don't understand it because I don't feel that way. But there are other people who feel the way you do. But that is a feeling, and that is not truth. It's not scientific. It's not religious. It's not common sense. You are the gender that you were born with. And now let's help you try to be able to accept that, to move forward with that. And again, most of the time we're talking to kids, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old. These are kids. They're what is it called? The frontal lobe cortex or whatever?
Prefrontal cortex.
Yeah. Haven't even developed yet. These kids that are like, they feel one way now, 5 years from now, they're not going to feel that way. You see all over social media, these kids who, you look up detransition videos. There are so many videos of people on social media. And I've talked to a young lady, Chloe Cole. When she was a little teenager, she felt like she was a boy. Went to, her parents, her mom took her to a counselor. Counselor's like, yes, we need to affirm this. When she's 16, they cut off her breasts. They started her on puberty blockers. She's never going to be able to grow her breasts back. Now she's like in her 20s and she's like, no, I am a woman. I want to be a woman. And, she can have breast augmentation, but she can't grow. I mean, she's not going to be able to breastfeed. And they don't even know with the puberty blockers, what's that going to do for her to being fertile, sterile. We're messing with these kids. We are literally mutilating these children, and it's for science. And there needs to be adults in the room that say, you're not. If you're a girl, you're born that way, and you come to me saying you're a boy, Well, you're not. Come on, man. Young boys that are having their penises cut off, it's stupid stuff. So anyway, I can go on for that with but now Maine School District number 51 and the state's Department of Education, they're accused of defying President Trump's executive order to protect women's sports by continuing to allow boys who identify as females to compete in girls' interscholastic athletics. Trump has said that's not going to happen. Trump said, I'll cut off your funding. The governors were at the White House, and Trump called out the governor of Maine. He's like, hey, is Governor Maine here? And she's like, yeah, I'm here. He's like, hey, I understand you're not going to abide by the executive order. She's like, well, we're going to follow state and federal laws. And he's like, I wrote the federal law. I signed the executive order. Comply or we're going to take your tax money from you. It's ridiculous that Maine is still trying to do that. So the U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights, they sent a letter to the Maine Department of Education Commissioner, Pinder Macon, and they announced the Title IX investigation into the state agency. In the letter, the Federal Education Department informed the Maine Department of Education that allowing males to compete in girls' sports is considered a violation of federal anti-discrimination law. We don't want boys competing with girls. It's not fair. It's not right. They're stealing scholarships. They're stealing medals. They can, in some sports, they can hurt them. The guys that are playing basketball against girls, guys that are males playing volleyball against girls, spiking the ball into girls' faces. It's not right. You can hurt them. And then also, it's not fair to swim against them, to run track against them, stealing their medals and their scholarship money. So this follows reports that the Greeley High School in Maine continues to let a male student compete as a girl. So Trump's on it. Trump's on it. Here's a second top story of the hour. Joy Reid. She is the host of her show on MSNBC. She was fired. You're fired. Check this out.
I've been talking to so many people, but but also that my show had value, and that that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I try not to cry on TV, and I say this is kind of like me on TV, so I apologize. And that it mattered. I see Karen is there, and she's been texting me as well. And so what I will just say is that in the end, thank you. Where I land is that the moment of guilt that I felt, that I went hard on so many issues, whether it was the Black Lives Matter issues of a young baby or a mom or a dad that was killed, or when we opened up people's eyes to the fact that Asian Americans were being targeted, and not just Black folks, or went hard for immigrants who've done nothing but come to this country like my parents did and try to make a life and defended them, or whether we've talked about what the president is doing that is subversive to the Constitution, that is injurious to our liberty, defending books that people find inconvenient, that Nicole Hannah-Jones put into our spirit, that we need to understand 1619 as the real founding of this country, whether it's talking about any of these issues, and yes, whether it's talking about Gaza and the fact that we as the American people have a right to object, to little babies being bombed. And where I come down on that is I'm not sorry. I am not sorry that I stood up for those things, because those things are of God.
Wow. So Joy Reid, she believes she was on the side of God. I don't see it. Now, why was her show canceled? Because her ratings were way down. She got way out there. She's a radical leftist. She had Trump derangement syndrome. She couldn't stand Trump. She was out to tear him down, everything he did, everything he said. She was often on the wrong side of a lot of these issues as well. Her opinions, her views, and she had her audience that went with her for a while, but then the audience woke up. The audience was like, wait a minute, you were telling us this guy's Hitler, that he's worse than Hitler, that he's an existential threat to the United States, that if he's elected, we may never have a chance to vote again. And then all of a sudden, when he gets elected with a great approval rating and, wins the popular vote, wins the Electoral College, 52% of the people now approve of him. And Obama, who you love, Joy Reid, is telling us, oh, yeah, Obama, this guy's like Hitler, Jim Crow. He wants to put you back in slavery. He's an existential threat. If he gets elected, may never have a chance to vote again. That's what Obama says. And then next thing you know, he's chumming it up, with him, telling jokes at, Jimmy Carter's funeral. And people are going, hold on a second. Wait a minute. I thought this is Hitler. Why are you laughing and joking with Hitler? Joy Reid, you got fired because you lied to the people. You misled the people. You manipulated them or attempted to manipulate them with your emotions, and they woke up. I'm not trying to be mean. You hate to see somebody crying over it, and I'm not saying that I'm happy that she was fired. Okay, but a couple things. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. I mean that, and you reap what you sow. You sow discord. Some of your even some of the people that your contemporaries were like texting out there like, hey, I think Greta Van Susteren tweeted out, I'm glad she got fired, because Greta's like, when I got fired, she liked the tweet, put a smiley face emoji. So you've dogged other people, you've dissed other people, and now that your message was not received, because that's what that means. That's what it means when your ratings drop. It means people don't want to hear what you have to say anymore. And then it means advertisers aren't going to pay for your show to go. And the networks are like, we're done with you. See ya. So I found, so she got fired, but I think it's interesting. Rachel Maddow, one of her partners in crime, who they a couple years ago, they signed her with like $27 million. So they can't necessarily get rid of her just yet, but she's the next, because these guys have these radical leftist ideas and they are stirring up people. Here's what Rachel Maddow had to say. She ripped MSNBC management for firing Joy Reid. Check this.
Hour all the other nights except for Mondays. So that's a big change. An even bigger programming change is at 7 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern, where Joy Reid's show, The Readout, ended tonight. And Joy is not taking a different job in the network. She is leaving the network altogether. And that is very, very, very hard to take. I am 51 years old. I have been gainfully employed since I was 12. And I have had so many different kinds of jobs, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. But in all of the jobs I have had, in all of the years I have been alive, there is no colleague for whom I have had more affection and more respect than Joy Reid. I love everything about her. I have learned so much from her. I have so much more to learn from her. I do not want to lose her as a colleague here at MSNBC. And personally, I think it is a bad mistake to let her walk out the door. It is not my call, and I understand that, but that's what I think. I will tell you, it is also unnerving to see that on a network where we've got two non-white hosts in primetime, both of our non-white hosts in primetime are losing their shows, as is Katie Fang on the weekend. And that feels worse than bad, no matter who replaces them. That feels indefensible, and I do not defend it.
Is Rachel Maddow implying, Frizz, I want you on air when I say this, get you on the screen, because I got a question, and I want you to answer this. I want people to see you. Now, is Rachel Maddow implying that Joy Reid was fired because she's black? Is she blaming MSNBC of like racism?
At the very last moment, she kind of, like, why would she throw in at the very end? There's only two non-white, I love that terminology as well, non-white people that have primetime shows, and both of them are now being let go. Why? Why ask that?
She's implying that MSNBC is racist for firing him. That's what she said.
That's practically what she said, yeah.
And see, here's the thing, and this is the rub on this. When you get into identity politics, when you get into the victim mindset, you're always going to turn around and eat yourself. Because you know what? When you get into this the mob always turns on itself. Because when you got mob mentality, and you guys have had this mob mentality for a long time, everything's racist, America's racist, and if you don't put black and brown people up, you're obviously a racist. Eventually, other people are going to go, wait a minute. because, a lot of white people push back on it. And then other, smart, black and brown people are going to push back on it. And then when those people that were with you in the mob start to turn on you in the mob, so then now the mob has to turn on them. That's what always ends up happening. It's the weaponization of race, which it frustrates me. And again, this is something that I talk about, I write about with my ministry, Alex Bryant Ministries. You see me right here, Alex Bryant Ministries. Look at that right there. My wife and I, we started by writing a book called Let's Start Again, a biracial couple's view on race, racial ignorance, and racial insensitivity. Our goal is reconciliation. It's about reconciling people to God first, then ourselves, then each other. We do it through written, spoken, and media content. Let's start again. And here's the deal. I talk about this. Not everything is racist. We got to stop weaponizing race. I just put that back up there. I want people to check this out. You can go to my website, alexbryant.org, and get this book. You need a copy of it. And here's what I'm willing to do. You go to my website. If you send me an email right now, if you're listening, just if you listen to this, I will literally send you a copy for free. You just pay the $7 for shipping and handling. I'll send you a copy for free. You send me an email, alex@alexbryant.org. I'll send you a copy for free if you're listening to this right now, because I want you to read this book. You got to pay my shipping and handling, but I'll give it to you for free. alex@alexbryant.org. Send me an email. But here's the thing. Not everything is racist. And we got to stop weaponizing race, because that leads us to further disunity, division. And what we need is unity. We need people, black, white, brown, male, female, to start talking about unifying things. And the message that Joy Reid and Rachel Maddow put out there, they're not unifying. It's division. It's hatred. And it leads to more hatred. I talk about this in my book. We did a video for this book, and it ended up going viral. And it was, it's got 50 million views, 51 million views on Facebook. And it talks about the dark side. And it talks about how, and I take it from Star Wars, and, the darkness, hatred leads to disunity and all that. But we have to go into the light. Love leads to forgiveness, leads to unity, leads to peace. Love, forgiveness, unity, peace. When you have love in your heart, you can forgive people for the things they've done to you that's been wrong. There's been wrongs in our past history of racism, and we've acknowledged it, we've admitted it. Love leads forgiveness, leads to unity. We got to come together, being united, because we're all Americans, and it's going to lead to peace. And that's what we need. And the message for Rachel Maddow and even Joy Reid is not that. It's the darkness. And, you saw what happened with Anakin Skywalker. The darkness is after you much, so that's what happens. The dark side. You don't want to go there, is what Yoda said. So that's the deal. Hey, here's the third top story. And rare minerals deal. What's this all about? Well, you guys know what's going on with the war in Ukraine. Trump is trying to put an end to it. That's his goal. And he's saying, hey, listen, we're tired of all the fighting. We're tired of all the killing. We're going to make this deal. And his thought is this. He's saying that he's trying to negotiate a ceasefire. He's negotiating with Russia. He's negotiating with Ukraine, and with Zelensky. But he's also a pragmatist. Trump's pragmatic. He's like, we spent about $350 billion. The United States has spent about $350 billion with a B dollars on this war. Now Zelensky's saying, oh no, it was a grant. That's what President Biden said. And Trump's going, no, bro. First of all, we want some money back, and you guys have a lot of rare minerals and stuff that can help us. And so he's saying, because you're going to need some further protection. So that's what Trump's saying. He's speaking about these rare minerals deal. Trump says that there's more to the deal than just the rare minerals, and that the American people will be getting our money back plus. And regardless of the money, peace is around the corner. Check this out. This is what Trump had to say on this.
True that President Zelensky is coming on Friday to meet with you, and is the mineral deal sorted out?
I hear that. I hear that he's coming on Friday. Certainly, it's okay with me if he'd like to, and he would like to sign it together with me, and I understand that's a big deal, very big deal. And I think the American people, even if you look at polling, they're very happy because, Biden was throwing money around like it's cotton candy. And it's a very big deal. Look, it could be $1 trillion deal, it could be whatever, but it's rare earths and other things. And look, we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on Ukraine and Russia fighting. a war that should have never, ever happened. That's a war that would have never happened if I were president. And it didn't happen for 4 years. People say, how do we know that it didn't happen for 4 years? Would have never happened. And nevertheless, this guy went into this situation and he spent money like nobody's ever seen, $350 billion. The other thing that we don't like is that Europe has spent $100 billion. We've spent $350 billion. Europe gets their money back because they spent it in the form of a loan, and we just gave them, whether it's 300 or 350 billion, nobody really knows. They can't even tell me the answer to that. It means probably more than that. So what we're doing is now we're saying, look, we want to be secured. We want to get that money back. We're helping a country through a very, very big problem, a problem like very few people have had. Shouldn't have had this problem because it shouldn't have happened, but it did happen, so we have to straighten it out. But the American taxpayer now is going to get their money back plus.
I mean, Trump, he's a common sense brother. He's like, look, we shouldn't have been paying all this money, obviously, but we did, and now we want some of our money back. And over in Ukraine, they have some rare minerals, titanium, lithium, graphite, nickel, and cobalt. And so Trump's like, we're going to send some people over there. We'll mine this stuff. While we obviously do that, we'll protect our own American citizens. We'll have troops over there, but we're going to get some of this, and we got to strike a deal between what percent you guys get and what percent we get. You're going to have a presence of the United States over there, so Russia will not attack American citizens because we're part of NATO. It's just a win-win for everybody. This is why I like the brother. He thinks outside the box. The guy's coming up with ideas. Why are we just giving our taxpayer dollars to everybody to do everything? I shared with you before a couple weeks ago, we give money to 179 countries. Nah, bruh. Nah. Hey, I'm working too hard, too much to be giving all my money. I got 5 kids of my own I got to support. I don't need to be giving all that to everybody. Now, listen, I know there's a lot of good charities and a lot of good aid and stuff that can be done. I'm not saying we cut it all off, but I love that Elon Musk is evaluating it, saying, nah, do we need to give it to this country, to that country, for this, for that? Nah, bruh. Save a brother some money. And so Trump is a common sense dude. That's what I like about the guy. He's saying, if you want our protection, if you want the United States to be over there, you want our weapons, you got to come up with something. It ain't no free rides all the time. The Biden gravy train is over. So that's what Trump's saying. Hey, that's all the top 3 stories of the hour. Let's get to, we're going to play our sponsors. We got Planet 417, and then I want to play my Will Worsham. He's one of our sponsors as well. And then we'll be back with Cary Wells. He is the vice president of Freedom Principles Missouri. We're going to talk with him when he is here in studio about Missouri 82 Alliance. That's next right here on Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant.
I'm Will Worsham. After 20 years in criminal law, I shifted gears because I saw too many families suffer when the estate plan they thought was solid wasn't. Parents thought they had it all taken care of, only for their kids to find out too late that they didn't. That's why I created Worsham Workshops, entertaining, informative sessions where families learn to avoid the most common pitfalls in estate planning. You don't have to leave your family's legacy to chance. Join a Worsham Workshop and see why so many families trust us with their legacy. Visit worshamworkshops.com or call us today.
Interesting interviews.
All right, welcome back to Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant. Joining me in studio, I love it when people come out to the studio. This is a brother who I had on the radio with me quite often. He's a part of Freedom Principles Missouri. They are a conservative group that's looking out for us in our politics, our laws, and even the people that are running for office there. And so welcome to the studio out here. Will Worsham, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, things are good, and this is a great studio. I like your gig here. This is awesome.
We got a little setup going over here, don't we? Can you hear him? Here, look. These
Get a little closer to the mic.
Get a little bit closer. Yeah.
Whisper some sweet nothings into you.
He says, whisper some sweet nothings.
How's that?
You always talk soft. I remember I had you on the radio a lot with me. Freedom Principles Missouri. Let's introduce that to Frontline Faith audience. What's Freedom Principles Missouri? What do you guys do? What are you guys all about?
Okay. So we started out in the St. Louis area when the communists started to come in and take over the city government. And you probably had a little insight.
I lived in St. Louis.
You lived
Yeah,
there.
I mean, there's a lot of liberals and a lot of you talk about. He's not joking. Cori Bush. I mean, she's like one of them in there. Like she doesn't say she's a communist, but she is a socialist, if you will. But yeah,
so yeah, there was actually a communist that was openly running. So
wow.
It was just a movement of the grassroots individuals who wanted to save their government, and that happened years ago nationwide with the Tea Party movement. But this is kind of the Missouri movement here of just restoring freedom, protecting who's in control of our government at all levels, and we do a lot of focus in Jefferson City at the Capitol.
Yeah. So Freedom Principles of Missouri, you guys are really basically just guys that are just concerned and loving. You guys have formed a group. Are you guys a PAC? Is that what you guys do now? Is that you guys have now a new PAC?
We do have a PAC, and our PAC really took off when there was the Amendment 3 battle that we had. We teamed up with some of the groups in the St. Louis area that were putting together some advertisements that were going out, and we said, hey, we'll raise the funds, we'll use our PAC. And so we got about 800,000 live streaming videos across the state to inform, educate, and persuade people to, not vote for the Amendment 3. And I don't believe we would have got the close as we did to winning
without you guys.
Without everybody's effort.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. You are absolutely right. The governor, actually Lieutenant Governor at the time, Kehoe, jumped in and raised some money. But what you guys did with putting up signs all over the state, I mean, do you guys know how many you ended up putting up? Like the big...
They sent 100 just down here to Springfield area. That went through my pickup truck, I think, or my office at work.
And in St. Louis, you got Byron Keelan. He's the president. He's out of there. Shad McGuire, I think he's your treasurer. Didn't you guys have Will Scharf? Was he one of your?
Will Scharf he's a Freedom Principle member, absolutely.
So that's pretty cool. You guys like Will Scharf, he's like the advisor, one of the special assistants to the president, who's like there with all the executive orders and explaining what they are. He's a member of Freedom Principles Missouri, and so you guys are doing some great work here. Now, I'm going to say this. Listen, and you guys have conversation. I'm real. I keep it real with you. I tell you what I like about what you guys are doing, and then I also got to jack you a little bit because,
we do make mistakes. It's in the fine print.
But you guys got good hearts, and you guys are in it for the right reasons. And that's why I like to keep giving you guys time and energy and attention. And you're open to feedback. So you guys are now putting together, and I want to talk a little bit about this. It's Missouri 82 Alliance. Tell me, what is the Missouri 82 Alliance?
Okay. So we do analysis. We do a scorecard of how each representative votes on the key points of legislation that we think advance freedom principles or they stand and block. And again, Amendment 3, and this year, SJR 33 is one of those pieces of legislation that's going through that we think will be critical to fixing some of the wrongs that happened with Amendment 3.
Now, a lot of people don't know SJR, so explain it, what the amendment is.
So SJR 33, there's a few things there that is very critical when we look at it. It's done by Adam Schnelting. He's a state senator in the St. Louis area, and he basically wants to take all that vague language in Amendment 3 that opened it up to all kinds of evil and manipulation and abuse. He's saying, we're going to call some things out here, and we're going to do that through an SJR. Now, what an SJR does is that will put it on the ballot again in 2026 to right some of the wrongs there. And here's some of the things they're focusing on, is that it's going to protect some of the health provisions that were stripped away from women and children, okay? And then if there is a rape that someone claims they were raped, that will be an exception only if it is reported.
Yeah.
And it has to be reported 48 hours before they would do that procedure.
So now it's my understanding that SJR 33 is going to simplify and just really make it more simple, the ballot, because one of the reasons and the dissenters of this, and one of the reasons why we felt that bill even passed because it was just so complicated. It was so arduous. In Florida, they had a similar bill that was basically like 2 sentences. Ours was, how big was that bill they had? Like,
I think it was over 15 pages.
yeah, so they want, am I right in that? So basically you guys are working to help simplify this bill, get it in some simple language that the average person can understand.
Absolutely.
That stuff's important, and this is why I like what Freedom Principles and organizations like this do. Again, and we're going to have some conversation about more on the Missouri 82 Alliance, but they're doing good work. It's definitely something that you should check out. Freedom Principles, Mo, yeah, he put up their website. Is it Freedom Principle, Mo, or Freedom Principles?
FreedomPrincipleMo.org.
Okay, so FreedomPrincipleMo.org. That's MO for Missouri.org. Go to it and check it out because this is an organization that some of you may identify with. You may want to be a part of it. There's memberships available. It's all over the state of Missouri. Just common sense brothers like you. One of my old football buddies, Shad McGuire. We've had him on the show before here. I had him on the radio a lot. He's the treasurer. I think you guys pay a little dues, and basically you guys pay to get it costs you money to do this, doesn't it?
It does.
That's what I love and I joke about it and tease about it, but these guys are putting their money where their mouth is. They're saying these principles are important to us to protect life, to speak up for the sanctity of marriage being between a man and a woman, to say that there are 2 genders, male and female, to get rid of a lot of this critical race theory that teaches half of you, all the white people here, that you're inherent victims, and black people that are inherent racists, and black people are victims. These guys are standing up for our common sense conservative policies, and they're paying to do it. And so I like a lot of what you guys are doing. So let's continue to dive in to the Missouri 82 Alliance. So you guys are setting up a PAC, I understand. It's supporting the Missouri 82 Alliance, considered a PAC contribution. So how will the Missouri 82 Alliance reshape Missouri's political landscape? Let's talk about that.
Okay. So right now we know that because of term limits, is that there's a group of senior legislators that go out every year. So that's about 30. And so we looked at those 30 seats, and 20 of them, they vote like the devil. And these are Republicans. I mean, they vote for all of the evils that we know that the progressive Democrats push. And so we said, what if we just focused on those 20 seats, and if we replaced those with legislators that are going to uphold the Missouri Republican platform, uphold and stand for life, what could we do within just 1 or 2 elections here in the state? And that's where the 82 comes in, because there's 163 legislators in the state. We are a Republican supermajority, but we are a conservative minority. So if we start chipping away at this, 20 at a time, each year, each election, every other year, then we believe that we could actually have a majority of freedom-loving conservatives in our state that will uphold the platform.
And so this is where I believe there's a little bit of controversy. And you and I have had these discussions, and even with Byron, because it's one of my biggest fears is that we get into, are you conservative enough? You're a rhino because you don't agree with the 15 principles of this. I think there should be some core values and principles that we agree with, but then there should be some latitude. But at the same time, I do understand what you guys are saying, because it frustrates me to no avail that we have the supermajority, which means that within Missouri, and it has been this way for 10 or 12 years, we've had the governor, we've had the Senate, we've had the House, and yet how did abortion slip in and get on our ballot?
Right.
See, that's the thing that gets me. Like, I would like us to focus on, and I want you to talk to this, like those 1 or 2 big issues, maybe 3 or 4 of them, versus all the other little things. Let's give people some latitude to do some of that. So what do you say to something like that?
Sure. So our group's called Freedom Principles. So where do we start with? We start with the documents like Declaration of Independence. That's not in question. The preamble to the Constitution, it's not in question. Now we come to the state of Missouri, and we look at our Constitution, our first few amendments in the preamble to our Constitution, it's not in question. Let's go a little bit deeper as Republicans. let's look at the platform. The platform supports life, it supports business, it supports family, it supports sovereignty, elections. Those aren't in question. And so those are really clear, black and white. We're talking 90% is black and white in our Missouri platform. And those are what we are judging by. The things that may be in the gray area, what kind of tax do we want? Do we want a fair tax or a state tax? We're not going to worry about that. But we're talking about the main principle, the Ten Commandments. You know, when we look and watch Jesus in the New Testament, he's guiding. He even simplified it more. He goes, hey, really, you know, here's two commandments I'm going to give you. Let's focus on these two, because those 10 commandments kind of all went back up to those two that Jesus said. So we're not looking to beat people over the head over these minute disagreements or distractions that are in the gray area. We're saying what's black and white.
Yeah, but and I hear you, and I'm with you there in principle, but then when you get down to the implementation of it, so you look at, for example, in the Senate, the way they go about stuff. Like I look at there's, and I probably differ from you, but like you look at, there's a couple of, if you want to say rhinos or people that would say that they're Republicans, but they didn't vote with us a lot on the main issues. When you look at, you know, allowing abortion to come in on our state, they're playing some games on that. But then you have somebody like, and I like the guy, he's one of my favorite senators, Mike Moon, who he's opposed to a lot of things, like, say, for example, education reform, because of his understanding. He says he's a constitutionalist, and well, it doesn't fit. So you got now infighting on conservatives. We're not even making any movement on school choice or anything like that, because they're fighting over stupid stuff like that. So I want to say, how can we unify? How can we come together and move the needle versus you're a rhino, you're this, you're not. That's the thing that frustrates me if we start to do these tests of, do you really vote with us? What's your percentage of voting and stuff? So I ask you that. I'm going to give you, that's going to be the last time I'm throwing up. But what do you say to people like me and others that have that kind of mindset and view?
I think it's transparency. I mean, we all lay out what our top priorities are. We vet those through our membership, and our members are the conservative leaders in the state. When you look at the state board on the Republican Party, almost 20% of that state board are members of the Freedom Principle. And they are there because they follow these principles and advocate and promote these. We are not a far right wing group here.
I'll agree with that. I don't think you guys are far right.
You know,
but yeah, I'll advocate for that. That's why I like you guys. I mean,
and so we say, hey, these are some basic principles that are in, like, again, in the Declaration on down to the state GOP platform, and we're all for promoting family. Now, how do you do that in school choice or not? We know that there are some differences between homeschoolers, and there's a difference between the Department of Education, DESE. So we're gonna allow our members to have some latitude there, but we're gonna promote reining in the power of DESE, because that's a matter of freedom.
No, you're absolutely right about that. DESE's got too much money that they're controlling. I think from like 23 to 24, they went from controlling 10.2 billion to like 15.5 billion. And if you don't do all the things that they want you to do, jump through the hoops with DEI, with critical race or whatever, and that stuff's in the pedagogy, then they can withhold tax funds from your school lunches, whatever. So no, I do like what you're doing there. And this Missouri 82 Alliance, so you guys basically want to do kind of like a vetting of the candidates for our primary races. That's basically kind of what you're kind of pushing for this.
And not only vetting, but recruiting. I mean, we want to find the candidates, and we want to work hand in hand with the county Republican group, what they call them, the Republican Central Committee. We're going to work hand in hand with them, and we're going to be transparent, and we're going to be allowing people to participate who will embrace these principles.
And so the end goal is obviously to get conservative candidates on the ballot, not only in the primaries, but then obviously we'll go into there. So I think that's an opportunity to weed out, maybe some of them. So that's the end goal, to get those conservative candidates.
Absolutely. And then we should be able to get a stronger leadership in the House, Speaker of the House. And that's our goal too, is that we are moving legislation that's in line with principles of freedom.
And so you talk about 20 maybe races at a time. How long do you guys envision this 82 Alliance taking?
We really feel it's going to be an ongoing, something that's going to be needed in Missouri, not just to switch over to where conservative values are winning in Jefferson City, but that we'll need to maintain it going forward. We can't give up. And that's where a lot of times the conservatives have a problem. We win an election, we win a presidential election, and we go, it's good, we've got it. And then we back off, we don't stay engaged.
Yeah. And I like it. I mean, again, we're talking with Cary Wells. He is the vice president of Freedom Principle Missouri. They're at Freedom Principle Mo. It's definitely worth getting engaged. I like you guys. And I don't think we have to agree on everything, but in principle, you guys are good people that is doing a lot of good. You're engaged. You're making us aware of things, and so I appreciate what you're doing. Now, I know you guys watch what's happening in Jeff City. What else are you guys looking at? What's your eye on that people need to know about and be aware of, conservatives here?
Again, in the House, there's the SJR 54. The companion bill is the SJR 33, where this horrible Amendment 3 is taking out protections. There the licensing requirements, things like that. So that's really one of our number one bills that we're looking at. Again, school choice is always something that we follow very closely, because a lot of our members in the St. Louis area know that there's children that are trapped, that don't have the means to go to another school. And so we want the best schools possible, that the taxpayer dollars that are going to public school system, let's help everybody out.
I talk about it often. I know that what you just said personally. When I moved to St. Louis in 2013, we lived out in South County. It was basically the rich white area, but I worked down in the inner city, and I ran the St. Louis Dream Center right off of Fairground Park. It's a church of about 600 inner city black kids, and they would say to me, "Pastor, how come your kids get to go to school in South County out there in Melville, but our kids are stuck in these schools that are not accredited?" That was the first time my eyes was open to that. And so there are kids that are stuck in these school districts there in St. Louis. I think they went 5 years without being accredited, which means you don't get scholarship opportunities because state, funding, just bad. And they just keep trying to throw money at it, but they're throwing it at the wrong thing. And so their standards are off. So choice is so important. They worked hard. One of the persons in our church, black lady named Carmen, she worked to bring in a charter school into our area. I don't think we need a charter school, and definitely don't need one in Nixa. Nixa's great school system there, but I am for choice. And I say that being on the school board, because it's not just about us and our good schools. Choice gives you better competition, competing for the dollars. Now, I personally believe if you're looking at school choice, the standards need to be the same. Private, public school standards need to be the same. So, but I love that you guys are working on that one there. So. Cary Wells, Freedom Principle Mo. Anything else you want to throw out there that you guys are working on?
And we really think that it's important, because we believe the battleground for the red states in our nation, Missouri has been chosen to switch us to a blue state. I think they want to rename Missouri Western Illinois.
Oof.
I mean, and we're on that path. And we believe that it's going to take a grassroots movement that really makes a change. And that's, some say that there's a new revolution going on to the golden age, but we need that here in Missouri, and it needs to be funded and pushed through by normal, everyday people who are interested.
Yeah. Well, we definitely don't want to be Western Illinois. I grew up in Illinois. It's where I went to school at, and it's very liberal. Although there are people from the Chicago area, the big city, they're trying to turn Illinois red. There's a lot of black people that are mad with the way this whole illegal immigrant situation went. But we do know that Missouri is a battleground state. And you got St. Louis and Kansas City that are hard blue. Crazy Cori Bush, thankfully she was voted out there. But you got a lot of crazy stuff. Emmanuel Cleaver, I lived up in Kansas City. He's a well-known congressman that'll be there until he wants to not be there. They name it streets after him. And then you got some areas in Columbia, and they control a lot of what's happening there. That's why it's important for you the people to be engaged. And one way to get involved is Freedom Principles Missouri. So freedomprincipalmo.org. Or is it .org or .com?
That's correct.
freedomprincipalmo.org. Go to it, check them out, get involved. So Cary Wells, thanks for joining me here on Frontline Faith, my friend.
Appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
You have a good day. So let's get to a little word from our sponsor, and we're almost coming to the end of this show. When we come back, what people are talking about, that's next right here on Wake Up, or right here on Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant.
I'm Will Worsham. After 20 years in criminal law, I shifted gears because I saw too many families suffer when the estate plan they thought was solid wasn't. Parents thought they had it all taken care of, only for their kids to find out too late that they didn't. That's why I created Worsham Workshops, entertaining, informative sessions where families learn to avoid the most common pitfalls in estate planning. You don't have to leave your family's legacy to chance. Join a Worsham Workshop and see why so many families trust us with their legacy. Visit worshamworkshops.com.
What people are talking about.
Let's get to what people are talking about. Now, I just want to say this once again. Thank you to Planet 417 for bringing our show to you, Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant. You can check us out at planet417.com. Also on the app. Download the app. You get it at the Apple Store, wherever you get your apps from, planet417.com. Download the app so you can check us out anywhere you go. You can listen to us live Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 11, or on your own whenever you want to. And then, of course, Will Worsham Law Firm. They are one of our sponsors. We're looking for more sponsors. If you want to sponsor us, let us know, alex@alexbryant.org. Hey, what people are talking about, I got a couple things for you, and we're coming down to the end of the show. Now, my mom sent me this story, and I like it. It's about, we're talking with Cary Wells from Freedom Principles about abortion and so on and so forth. Now, Planned Parenthood, evil, evil, evil organization. People don't like it when I say that, but I'm just telling it like I see it. They say, well, they're doing good stuff to help women and their reproductive rights, which is basically, abortion. But they say they're doing mammograms and all this other stuff for free, whatever. You're masking all that. You're selling the fetal tissue of these aborted babies. You're getting taxpayer dollars. A lot of times they're doing that. And it's an evil organization. But people are waking up to it. There's a story I'm going to show you here. It's about a 3-minute video on CBN News, CBN, and it's about Planned Parenthood, how they're facing a crisis because critics are some of their basically clinics, abortion clinics, are closing because people are accusing them and seeing the malpractice allegations. So check this story out.
A bombshell report described the abortion provider Planned Parenthood as in crisis. A New York Times article cites botched abortions, failed procedures, and undertrained staff as the clinics struggle financially. As Charlene Aaron reports, the revelations mirror what pro-lifers have been saying for years.
The report comes as Planned Parenthood clinics across the country are shutting down and facing a slew of lawsuits. Many say the future of the nation's leading abortion provider looks more uncertain than ever. The New York Times article highlights a number of complaints against Planned Parenthood, including the story of a woman who filed a malpractice suit after her experience at a clinic in Albany, New York. After undergoing a procedure for an abortion, she left, but later returned after experiencing severe pain. The clinic told her nothing was wrong and sent her back home. 12 weeks later, she delivered a baby that was alive, but later died. Such stories come as no surprise to those in the pro-life movement.
This is how Planned Parenthood has run many of its businesses for years. And for those of us who are deep in the pro-life movement, we've seen this.
Many point to financial corruption as well. In 2022, Planned Parenthood received $498 million in donations, but according to the Times, little of it goes towards health care. For years, pro-lifers have called for an end to taxpayer funding of the organization. The Southern
received $498 billion in our taxpayer funds, or was it $498 million? That's a lot of money. our taxpayer funds are going to Planned Parenthood. They say they don't use them for abortions. They use them for mammograms and staff, whatever. But money's fungible. If we're giving them our taxpayer dollars, all like $500 million, then they use their other money from abortions, for other things. So it's like, yeah, they're saying, well, your taxpayer dollars technically aren't going for abortions, but it's going for the mammograms and the staff and the equipment, and the other money they raise goes for abortions. That's what's not right about it. So keep this story going.
Southern Baptist Convention's Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission is renewing that push, urging Congress to defund the group under the new Trump administration. The American people should not be forced to subsidize an organization that profits from the deaths of innocent lives, reads a letter on the group's website. Katie Glenn Daniels of Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America agrees.
They've shown that they are not good stewards of our money. And there are millions of pro-life Americans and even millions of pro-choice Americans who say, I don't want my taxpayer money going to pay for abortions.
The report also listed high turnover at Planned Parenthood clinics, lack of proper training for staff, and clinics in desperate need of upgrades and repairs. With a number of clinics closing, lawsuits piling up, and several states cutting Medicaid funding, some say Planned Parenthood may be losing its grip on the abortion industry.
The writing should be on the wall. They receive $700 million in taxpayer funds. Planned Parenthood shouldn't be receiving a single dime in taxpayer funds. They are a corrupt abortion chain that should be shut down instead.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
So yeah, man, our taxpayer dollars should not be going towards abortion, because a lot of us, conservative values, conservative views, we don't agree with abortion theologically, morally, emotionally, whatever. And so, yeah, we should not have our money going to fund abortions of any kind. I mean, I don't want them to go to a place where most abortions are happening, and that's not right. And so I'm loving that story. I can't wait for more of them to close down. I want every single abortion clinic in our country to close down, because I don't think we should be killing babies at all. So here's what else people are talking about. A couple key conservative leaders are running for governor in Ohio. Vivek Ramaswamy, the brother, ran for president. He came on the scene hot and ready to go, and he didn't win, obviously. He bowed out of the race, and he supported President Trump. Then Trump was going to have him help run Doge with Elon, but when the governor DeWine over in Ohio, he's about ready to term out, and so now Vivek Ramaswamy, he's got a new plan. Check this out.
I am honored to announce my candidacy to serve as the next governor of the state of Ohio. President Trump is reviving our conviction in America. We require a leader here at home who will revive our conviction in Ohio. And that is why today I am honored to announce that I am running to be the next governor of a great state at the heart of the greatest nation known to mankind, the state where I was born and raised, the state where Apurva and I raise our two sons today, a state whose best days are still ahead. I am honored to announce my candidacy to serve as the next governor of the state of Ohio.
So there it is, Vivek Ramaswamy. You heard the announcement there. He is running for governor. I think he's going to win. I was asked the other day, do you think he has a good chance? I do, because he's got great name identification. He's from the Columbus area. The guy's got a lot of money. I mean, he is paying for his campaign a lot himself. Name ID is high. Ohio is one of those, it's not a swing state, it's red. And if you remember going back 15, 20 years ago, it used to be a swing state. I mean, it was one of the battleground states, but now they're very red, and he's one of the highest ranking, nationally known Republicans. And so that'll be a good springboard for him. If he goes there and gets some experience for, say, 8 years or so, or 12 years or whatever, I think that after Trump serves his 4 years, J.D. Vance has a inside road to the White House because he's doing some great stuff. But Vivek Ramaswamy, he's only in his mid-30s. He's got a great political future ahead of him. So that was Vivek Ramaswamy in Ohio. And then also in the state that I was born in, Florida, Congressman Byron Donaldson. He's announced that he's running. So check this one out.
I mean, you got the support of President Trump. Where do you stand? Are you ready to make the plunge? Well, look, Sean, after a lot of prayer, a lot of thoughts with my family and my friends, I'm here to announce my candidacy to be the next governor of the great state of Florida. And Sean, we have a wonderful state. I got to Florida when I was 17 years old off of a Greyhound bus with just a trunk full of clothes. And over the rest of my time in Florida, I built a family, I built a career, 17 years in financial services. I joined the Tea Party movement, was in the conservative movement. I was able to serve 4 years in the state legislature, 4 years in Congress. And I think now is the time to now take the mantle and lead our state into the future. We've had a great governor. Ron DeSantis has done a tremendous job for our state. But now the job is to keep the best state in the country as the best state in the country. And so that's going to be the mission at hand. And I'm excited to announce my candidacy with you tonight.
There you have it. Byron Donald's a good guy. I lived in Fort Myers, Florida for about 8 years. He lives in Naples, just south of that, about 30 minutes. I've had a chance to meet with this guy, talk with him. And when I went to D.C., when I was running for Congress, he met with him and just, picked his brain a little bit. But yeah, he's a rising star. And he's a congressman right now. Still, obviously congressmen, they can serve as long as they want, so he's not terming out, but he's looking for the next step for him. He's a young guy as well. He's in his mid-30s, and he said it there himself. He arrived in Florida at 17 years old on a Greyhound bus. I think he went there to play baseball at one of the state schools there, and he just had a trunk full of clothes, and he had a dream, and he's a unifier. He's a black man, mixed race marriage, and he sees the world differently, and that's a good thing. Naples is a very affluent, rich, predominantly white area, a lot of Latinos down there, and he's leading, he's hearing them, and he's got a lot of great things to say, and now he's running to be the next governor of Florida. So Ron DeSantis is going to be terming out, and so we'll see how that goes. So crazy stuff there. Those are two high-profile seats right there.
I got to ask, since DeSantis is terming out, do you think he runs again in 2028?
I do. I think he's going to try. I think that DeSantis, if this is the deal, had he not ran for president this time, I think Trump might have looked at him for a VP. J.D. Vance, he would have been, and then he would have had the next, even if he wasn't VP, he would have done his time in Florida. People would see what he's doing. His stock rose high. But there are people that didn't like that he went against Trump. Trump called him disloyal for a while, dissanctimonious. Remember that? And so MAGA doesn't like that. When you go against Trump, even like people like my mom, they're like, nope, he should stay his butt in Florida. That's what my mom says. They like it. So like Nikki, she's done forever. She stayed in the race way too long. The Trumpsters, MAGA will never forgive her for that. So her political career in the Republican Party's over. But I don't know if DeSantis is over, but I think J.D. Vance is the front runner right now because, he's going to start, the next president is going to start running in 2 years. Stop and think about that. You're talking about, the election was in 24. They'll start running in 2026. Into 2026. All of 2027, and so that's where it's at. So we'll see. We'll see. Hey, here's the final thing that I want to tell you that people are talking about, and I'm going to leave you with this cool video. Trump, he held his first cabinet meeting and had all his people in there, the ones that have been confirmed and still a couple of them that haven't been. And he took questions afterwards for about an hour from the press. Great cabinet meeting. I want you to see how his cabinet meeting started. Check this video.
Say grace, and then we'll have our meeting, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this awesome privilege, Father, to be in your presence. God, thank you that you've allowed us to see this day. The Bible says that your mercies are new every morning. And Father God, we give you the glory and the honor. Thank you, God, for President Trump, Father, for appointing us. Father God, thank you for anointing us to do this job. Father, we pray you will give the president, the vice president wisdom, Father God, as they lead. Father, I pray for all of my colleagues that are here around the table and in this room. Lord God, we pray that we would lead with a righteous clarity. Father God, that as we serve the people of this country in every prospective agency, every job that we have, Father, we would humble ourselves before you and we would lead in the manner that you've called us to lead and to serve. Father, the Bible says that blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Well, Father, we today honor you, and in your rightful place, Father, thank you for giving us this opportunity to restore faith in this country and be a blessing to the people of America. And Lord God, today in our meeting, we pray that you will be glorified in our conversation. In Jesus' name, amen.
Like, wow. We're talking about the President of the United States, his cabinet, and Trump says, hey, why don't you say a prayer for us? That was Scott Turner. He's the HUD secretary, the guy that's a born-again Christian. So I think he's a minister. But that's how they prayed. The man prayed to Jesus. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. That's the Yahweh God. Guys, that prayer is not going to return void. And like people always say, well, Trump's not pastor in chief. He's not, I'm not saying that he is. I wouldn't want Trump to be my pastor. I'm not even saying the man's a Christian. Now, I'm not judging him. But I mean, the fruit, I don't know the fruits there as a Christian. But the man is surrounding himself with people who are born again, spirit-filled Christians who understand Jesus, God, the Lord, and they just said a prayer in the cabinet meeting to honor, glorify, and invite God to be in leadership. Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, they're there right in there. That's what's up. That's what's up. That's a big difference between Joe Biden hanging the pride flag from the White House, having this transgender ideology going out, trying to put God out of it. Now, again, I am not saying, I'm not into Christian nationalism. I'm not saying that God's fighting for our country, loves our country more than he loves any other country. I think that could be said of Israel. But I am a patriot who is also a Christian. I'm a Christian first, and I love it when our leaders are inviting God through prayer to be covering, leading, guiding everything that's happening. That's what's up. So hey, that's all I got for you. Frontline Faith with Alex Bryant. Thanks for tuning in. Check us out every Tuesday and Thursday from 9 to 11. We are on Planet 417. Download the app. You can also check out my podcast, The Way We See It. That's on Apple, Spotify. That's an audio podcast. If you want to connect with our ministry, alexbryant.org. Get on our mailing list. You get email updates, everything that we're doing. God's being cool with us. Big shout out to Granite City First Assembly. I'll be there this weekend preaching there for Pastor Stacy Wilson. Look forward to being with you guys in St. Louis this weekend. That's all I got. Until next time, I'm out. Word.